Stephen R. Covey's book, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, continues to be an international bestseller for the simple reason it ignores trends in pop psychology. It focuses on the timeless principles of fairness, integrity, honesty, and human dignity. One of the most compelling books ever written, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, has empowered and inspired readers across the globe for over 25 years. It's also played a part in the transformation of millions of lives across all age groups and professions. At the time of Dr. Covey's passing in 2012, clients included more than 75% of Fortune 500 companies and over 90% of Fortune 100 companies. Those are absolutely stunning statistics. This means that over a significant period of time during the 80s, 90s, and early 2000s, just about every major executive and every major leadership team in America had immersed themselves in this content. That is truly mind-boggling. I don't believe there is another leadership program out there that could boast even close to those kind of numbers. Suffice it to say, in order to become an incredible leader, The 7 Habits begins with powerful lessons in personal change. No matter how competent we are, we will not have the sustained and lasting success unless we can effectively lead ourselves, influence, engage, and collaborate with others, and continuously improve and renew our capabilities. These elements are at the heart of personal, team, and organizational effectiveness. One of the things we find to be so powerful in this program is that before we can become more effective with those around us, we must first focus on becoming more effective with ourselves. In other words, we must first look inward. So let's begin with individual effectiveness. The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People is the proven operating system for individual effectiveness. As we work through habits 1, 2, and 3, our participants develop increased maturity, greater productivity, and the ability to manage themselves. And by the time we've covered the first half of the program, which Dr. Covey refers to as the private victory, participants will have the ability to execute critical priorities with laser-like focus and careful planning. And in regard to this, something we see time and time again is that participants feel like they are in better control of their lives by implementing what is called Big Rocks scheduling. Once we've worked with participants to master their individual effectiveness in habits 1 through 3, we begin to work on the effectiveness with our teams. In other words, becoming more dynamic, thoughtful, and inspirational leaders. Dr. Covey referred to this portion of the program as public victory. The 7 Habits is also the proven operating system for team effectiveness. Participants will learn how to increase team engagement, morale, and collaboration. These teams come away with improved skills in both communication and relationship building. And in Habit 5, we begin to master the art of seeking first to understand, then to be understood. This is an incredibly powerful set of ideas that our clients have repeatedly said is one of their favorite parts of our events. In fact, numerous clients have shared that the ideas we share in this section alone is worth the price of admission. Speaking of individual habits, let's invest just a few minutes to provide a brief overview of the program habit by habit. Before we dive into the individual habits, I'd like to share that we will begin the event with something Dr. Covey termed foundations. As we begin with foundations, we'll be sharing how we can build our life, our business, with character. Covey referred to this as the roots of effectiveness. In the opening segment of the live event, we'll be discussing the personality ethic versus the character ethic, how we view the world through our own paradigms, and how we can use principles to govern our behaviors, leading to effective results. From there, we'll move into habit 1, be proactive. This habit will focus on stimulus and response. We have the ability to choose our behavior and the choice to be either reactive or proactive. And this habit will also tackle a concept known as our circle of influence versus our circle of concern. This is where we'll work to become focused on what we can control and influence instead of what we can't. Next up, habit 2. Begin with the end in mind. Here we'll define clear measures of success and plan to achieve them. In other words, the habit of vision. In this section, we'll work to create a personal mission statement and get clear about our why in both our life and our business. In habit 3, we'll begin to put first things first, working to prioritize and achieve our most important goals instead of constantly reacting to urgent tasks. Some people refer to these things as burning fires that erupt in our lives and seem to just throw us off track. We'll share how to guide our lives by the compass rather than the clock, effectively eliminating the unimportant things that so often seem to distract us from being the most effective version of ourselves. As we move from habit 3 to habit 4, we'll be moving from private victory to public victory. During this time, we'll be working on an incredibly powerful concept called the emotional bank account. This is a metaphor that relates to the amount of trust that exists in a relationship at any point in time. Once our participants have experienced this content, they begin to see and to interact in their relationships in entirely new and more effective ways. We then move to habit 4, think win-win, where we will learn how to collaborate more effectively by building high-trust relationships. Here, we will learn about the 6 paradigms of human interaction and learn to design all of our agreements with mutual benefit. We'll also be challenging our participants to examine whether they approach negotiations in their life and business with an abundance or a scarcity mindset. Not to mention how we can balance courage and consideration with win-win agreements. And then we'll dive headfirst into habit 5. Seek first to understand, then to be understood. Rest assured, when our participants master this habit with us, they become poised to influence others, and not by tricking, manipulating, or deceiving them, but rather by developing a deep understanding of their needs and perspectives. Mastering the skill of empathic listening could very well be considered the equivalent of being handed the keys to life's kingdom. Up next, habit 6, synergize. The reason and inspiration behind our company name, Synergy Learning Systems, is, after all about synergizing. In this habit, we'll share how to develop innovative solutions where the whole is greater than the sum of the parts. In other words, we are more effective together than we are on our own. And that brings us to habit 7, sharpen the saw, the habit of renewal. In this habit, we'll share how it's possible to increase motivation, increase our energy, and increase our work-life balance by designing time for activities that renew us. To maintain and increase effectiveness, we develop ways with our participants to renew ourselves in body, in heart, in mind, and in soul. Those that know me know I've been blocking at least 30 to 60 minutes per day for roughly the past 30 years to focus on the habit of renewal. These 7 Habits events are typically held only twice per year, once in December just before we hit the new year, and once again in the late spring or early summer. And we would be honored to work with you and your team at our next event.